for meeting with me today to talk about the International Choral Composers Institute, which
Yeah,
I'm so excited about. We have
same.
so many applications and they keep coming in. And so I just want people to get to know our teachers and instructors a little bit better. And I thought this would be a fun way to do that. So I have some questions for you. The first, I'm thinking people might be curious how we know each other. So do you mind telling the story how we met?
Yeah. Facebook, of course.
Of course,
I saw you are really good at doing the hustle and just getting your
I
music out
try.
there. And every time people asked for, like, looking for pick a category, you would just be like, try this chart. Now try this.
Would this work?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I'm like, who is this woman? And, I've been composing for a very long time now, and I just have a slew of music that's just sitting on my computer, unknown to the rest of the world. So I finally had this moment of like, I should really get my music published so I can get it out there. And you were the first person, didn't know you at all. And I was like, I'm just going to randomly reach out to this woman and see if she's got any tips and tricks for me on like how to publish music. And I did. And you
Yes, I did too.
that. Yep. And it was beautiful. And here we are.
It was beautiful because I said, not only are you delightful and would I love to help you, but when you sent me your music, I was like, wow, like you've got some stuff. Like your music is amazing. And I
Thank you.
think all of your stuff should be out there if we're being honest. You have just such a cool style, not just personally, but your music, I mean, has so many cool influences. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit to everybody about what your influences are musically and how you kind of describe yourself. Like, what's your journey that got you to this point in your musical career?
Yeah, boy, ooh, that's a great question.
Mm.
Try to keep that short because that could be a very learned how to play the piano when I was 6. And, as you do when you're a kid, you like
Mm.
dink around and you make stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoyed it and actually did some competitions when I was in high school, won some awards. And then in college, I was a music major without really a strong focus when I started because I loved everything. And it eventually, the more music classes I took, the more I lived and experienced. And I think part of what got me to be a composer professionally was actually my theory classes. Our professor gave us the option to either do the written assignment or take what we learned and apply that, write a composition.
Right.
And I loved that. I thought it was brilliant. And so I think almost every semester of theory, I actually never did any theory homework. I just wrote pieces
That's great.
utilizing, like, when we learned how to use what borrowed chords were. You
Yeah.
write a piece with borrowed chords, write a piece with
Nice.
chromatic medians. I have a piece that, a little short piece that utilizes chromatic medians and also
Right.
borrowed chords. And that has sat, in my computer since, when was that? 2002, 2003. And I now work for a company called Skylight Records, making tracks for Sync is what it's called, TV shows and movies and
Mhm.
advertisements and whatnot. And he was needing some new music. And I was like, okay, this is random, but I have like a homework assignment that actually might work. And it
You're like,
totally
let me
did.
reach in my file from whatever year and pull out
So
my
it's like,
borrowed chord assignment.
it's up and available, and I just think it's hilarious that it was
That's
just like a
great.
theory assignment. Anyway, so that writing those pieces and just falling in love with composing is the thing that eventually honed my focus in college, and I was like, I'm going to be a composer. But I couldn't decide between classical contemporary music
Mm.
and jazz. Oh, yeah. So I did both. So I got
That's
my I
awesome.
have a bachelor's of music, but a double
Yeah,
focus in classical and
that's
jazz.
cool.
And so my influences, I have a heavy jazz influence.
Yeah,
I was actually a vocal jazz major for a long time until I was
right.
like, I love composing this even more than I love performing it, which I also
Right.
still love and do.
I want to interject only because I happen to know that your jazz influence piece, Shenandoah, is it? No, Scarborough Fair. I got
Yeah.
it wrong.
So,
Scarborough Fair with Hinshaw is one of their top sellers
yeah.
and is gorgeous. So if anybody needs like a more advanced, like it's a cappella, right?
Mhm.
Is it SSATB?
Yes.
It's wonderful. Like, I love that piece.
Thanks.
And then because we were connected, and like basically, I'm your connection connection to Henshaw. Your next piece that was published is in my series, which is a real honor for me that I
Yeah.
got to do that for you. So yeah, check out Kate Janzen's music for sure. Like amazing. But I love the jazz influence in your music. There's also a little musical theater influence because you're also a musical theater buff like I am.
Mhm.
So that's super amazing. And then where did you study music again? I was just trying to remember what you told me.
Yeah, Sacramento State School of Music
Yeah.
in California.
So cool. That explains why you're cool too, because you're like a California girl.
I am. Yes.
But you live in Colorado or
Yes, now,
Colorado now.
yes, I'm a Colorado girl now,
I
and
gotta say
I
it.
love it here. So,
Okay, I've
yeah.
heard that's beautiful too. You know, the other thing I wondered if you could talk about is I know you work with a lot of like singers and you have students. So, how do you think your students would describe you? Like, what can our ICCI students look forward to about working with you if they get to work with you?
Yeah, that's a great question. My students would describe me as fun, encouraging. Anytime I hear a story of some teacher telling somebody that they can't do something or they won't make it in a thing, I'm just like, I want to come along. Like, I don't understand it. As a
Yeah,
teacher,
right.
my job is to uplift
Hmm.
everybody that comes in front of me. I mean, this is my own kind of worldview as well. Like not only
Yeah,
with my students, like if I'm at the grocery store and there's an opportunity to uplift somebody, I'm gonna do it as best I can, of course. I encourage people to go deep, to get in touch with what's going on the inside, because I think as a musician, as an artist, as a performer, you can't not go deep and feel things, right? Because that's where art comes from, is from the depths of our soul just coming out and being expressed in different mediums.
yeah.
Typically crying ends up happening because we've all got trauma and that we haven't dealt with and it comes up
Music helps us deal with that. Like, I love
absolutely.
that.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Especially, especially with the singers, because
yeah,
the voice is just like so interconnected and deeply connected. But also, from the standpoint of composing as well, like you can be intellectual about it, but it loses life and flavor if there's that, if that connection is not there. So yeah, so I encourage everybody to be their authentic selves, because that's also a part of that. You can't
right.
begin to be an artist if you're not true to yourself, not
Hmm.
just to your art, but also like how you move through the world. So I am a fan of everybody being themselves, whatever that is, however that looks.
Yeah.
No judgments here.
I love it. So let me see if I can sum up. So when you meet Kate Janzen, you will be accepted, encouraged, and there may be crying.
Yeah, that's a good sum up.
There may be crying. I love it. No, but it's a good cry. Like it's a therapeutic cry. We want that.
And if people, I walk the spectrum of how delicately I show up versus how bluntly I show up.
Hmm.
And that all depends on the other person. I
Right.
can be as direct and as blunt as
If they
I
need that. Yeah.
yeah, as they need, or as delicate as they need also.
Hmm.
So I know some teachers are kind of like, there's
Right.
like, bah.
No, but it's you're sensitive, and I think that's the difference is that you can read a person really well. And if they give you an indication that you need to be cautious in your approach or just more delicate or tender, then you're that. And if you sense that they're like, no, let's do this, and they want to be pushed, you're like, okay, I'll push you, and then you push them.
Yeah.
So I dig that about you. And I think that that's what everybody wants in a teacher, I think, is somebody who tries to understand that every student is different and
Yeah.
has different needs that they come to you with. I'm really excited for you to meet the students you will end up having because you're getting requests.
Awesome.
And I can't wait for them to get to know you and get to know your work, but also to see what they're capable of producing with you as their teacher.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm
Brilliant.
super, as you would say, I'm stoked.
Yes, I would.
Well, thank you so much for making time to talk with me today, Kate. It's always great to talk with you. And I cannot wait to hug your neck, as they say in the South. I can't wait to hug your neck when you
Yeah.
get here this
Yeah.
summer.
Uh-huh.
Thank you again, Kate.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Where's Lisa? Where are you going to Styrofoam?